Okay, so today we're doing the power steering on this Jeep Grand Cherokee. It's the newer shape, like the 2013 model. It's the 3.0 CRD V6. Okay, and power steering, fluid everywhere. So we're just doing that. So little job. First of all, we disconnect. Just literally, this just pops off the top of it, and that down there is my power steering. It looks like an electric pump rather than a pulley pump actually, because I can't see it on the pulley anywhere. So I think it's electric. And so you then got to take the under tray off. There's about 8 screws on the under tray. There's one in the wing just there, one on the wing on the other side. Then there's underneath the car, there's 3 bolts here for the underside. There's 2 at the back just here. And then that is my electric pump. So I think now we're going to take this bracket off. There's my pipe. That's my electric, that's my fluid pipe, because that's coming down from, yeah, that braided one there. And then it's this silver one. And then that goes to the back of the pump, yeah. So there's going to be a couple to undo, but I don't know if it's going to come down a little bit. And if I get rid of this bracket, it's going to make life a bit easier. So what I'm going to do is probably undo this bolt, then take out these 2, and I might even take out these 2. So I've got plenty of space to bring it down. This is going to be fairly rigid. And then once that bracket's off, I think I should be able to get to that pipe. And then there's some connectors. There's a little connector attached just here for this electrical wire. So they're going to undo that. There's a bigger pipe at the back here. You can see this pipe up here. So that will need, I think that's the main feed from the pump actually, this one here. I don't know what this one is. Not quite sure to be honest. But anyway, there's another one here and I can see it's got a connector on it here. It's going to need to come off as well. And then there's a little electrical cable right at the back just there. It's going to need to come out. You can see it leaking out here. So it looks like it's gone here in the seal. So anyway, so that's my pump, and I will now undo it and see what happens. So now I'm working above the car. This is my pump. If I zoom in, there are 2 connectors on the pipes. So there and there on those 2 pipes, a bit dark. But right down there, there's 2 connectors with sort of Jubilee clips or the clamp clips on. So I'm now going to disconnect those, and then that's the electrical connector. There's one there, and then there's another one just there. So I need to take those 2 off as well. I don't quite know how those blocks work, to be honest. So I might be able to do this when it's on the ground. So, and then the only one I'm worried about is the rigid pipe that goes near those connectors down there. So I'm going to take those Jubilee clips off first, see if we can get that electrical connector off, and then I just think I've just got 1 pipe left after that, which is that other last pipe, which is rigid. I don't know if it's going to, once the pump's down, it's going to be easier to do it. Anyway, we'll see in a sec. Okay, so I disconnected the electrical cables first, then I undid the Jubilee clips on the 2 pipes, then pull the 2 pipes off. Now what I've done is just rotate it ever so slightly. I've actually got my jack under it just to hold it now because I've got a lot of the brackets off. And there's the one, I think it's a T40 bracket left, which is this little one here. I'm going to twist it around and do that. It's holding in a rigid pipe into the area. So it's that one. I don't know if the light can help with this. Ah, there it is. It's that one just there. So it's a T40. I'm going to do that. That's probably my last one I'm undoing actually. So hopefully, so this will be one of the first ones we do up when we come to do it up. Okay, so right, let's get that one out now. Okay, so there's one more bolt needs to come out. That's where my ratchet's on. It's right at the very back there. It's like a little 10mm. It's like a rubber bung that's holding that back part of the pump in. So now we need to take that out as well. Okay, so a week later, we took the power steering pump out of this Jeep Grand Cherokee 3 litre V6. This is the 2013, so sorry just repeating that because I'm a week later, forget where I've got to. So I got a quote from Jeep for the parts for this car, and they wanted 1500 plus VAT for the pump, and there's no one else on the market had them. Anyway, pleased to say I found a company who have reconditioned this one. So this is my now reconditioned power steering pump. So came in at about 180 quid. I actually had it delivered, so another sort of 20 quid on top to get it shipped back and forth. But anyway, that's what I've done, and we're going to put this back in now, and hopefully obviously the job's been a good job, and we're now all back in action. So it looks like it's all been cleaned up, and new connectors and stuff on it. So we'll get this back in the car. I'll show you getting it back in, and then fingers crossed we've got a pump working again. Okay, so I've taken the other bolts and put them to one side for the plastic under tray. So this is your bolt setup. 4 bolts which sit on brackets underneath the car. These 2 smaller bolts fit into the housing here on the underside. This is like a lug nut bolt that will go through, and that sits on one of the brackets, and then this T drive bracket is for the connector from the power steering fluid, and then we've got the 2 electrical connectors to connect, and then we've got our inlet and outlets to connect here where the red caps are. So that's it. That's the setup. So remember, I think this time we're going to offer it back up again under the vehicle, get it roughly in position, and then bolt all these ones back up. So what I'll do now is I'll kind of maneuver it into position, and then I'll try and show you when it's in position and what you're bolting back together. Okay, so putting it back together now, I've actually put in the bracket first. So put this one and this one back in. I've done them a finger tight. I will tighten them up in a bit. I want to give myself just a little bit of looseness while I put the whole thing in. There's actually one bolt here which is still inside of the bracket there, so I'll leave that in because that's the back of the unit with the 10mm we need to get to from on top. So the pipe cable's here. There's a little screw bolt on the back of this cable. If you did take it off, I've put it back on now. So you can now see, here's my 2 pipes, my flow here and here. So I'm going to join those back up. They've got the Jubilee clips on them. This is the main T32 connector, and then this is the small bracket that's going to go on top. So I think I'm going to hopefully get this starter power steering here and then slide it across here and hope it sits in, and then we can start bolting it all back into place. Okay, so not too bad. Sorry I haven't done this whilst undercover. Basically take your power steering pump, now your bracket's loose, lift it in over here, and it just literally slides into position. What I've then done now is I've very loosely, I've not done these up, very loosely done these 2 lug nuts up here. So the machine's got loads of play in it at the moment, which is just what I need. This bracket here is then ready to mount up onto this bolt here. This is my fixed pipe. I'm going to go on top now and do the other ones. So now it's in place. You only have to do this pipe here up, this bolt here up, and then I've got the 2 electrical connectors and the 2 outlet pipes to do as well. So if I flip to above, if you remember, okay, so there's my 2 outlet pipes. So you need to reach in there and get those done up. They can be a bit tricky, and then I'm going to get the electrical connectors and get them plugged back in as well. So let me get those done, because it's pretty well in place now. We've just got actually 4 bolts or so to go. And then there's that last one there. You can see that last 10mm bolt, which is that one there, just above that label. That also needs to be done up as well. So again, I'm going to get that in now while it's loose before I tighten everything up, and then I've got it all bolted in nice and tight. Okay, it's all nearly back together. I was having a little bit of hassle with that rigid connection, which has got the T, let me see what it is. You need a T40. So you need, sorry, over here, you need a T40 hex. Anyway, what I've done, I've just jacked the car up, sorry, jacked up, you can see it, just the underside of the power steering pump. It gets it on an angle, and then you can get to it from on top. That was kind of the best way to do it. And then I put that little bracket back on, so just an ordering thing there. Get your rigid bracket in, pipe in, and then do the other one. Okay, so it's all back together now. So just for a quick reminder, there's your power steering pump. We need to clip the engine cover back on, which we'll just do in a sec. So just do that. And a quick reminder, so that's the setup. You want to just see it finished. So I did the last, I just tightened those bolts up now, I've kind of put everything back together, gave me a bit of flexibility whilst I screwed it all in and got all the connectors on. Right, so now I think these will self-bleed. So I put about half a litre in and it stopped. So now I think if we start it up, we need to put another half a litre in once the engine's going, so we'll need to probably, it should start to self-bleed itself once the engine is running. Okay, so first round of self-bleed, I've, you can see there, it's just, I don't know if you can see, it's on the max. I've done two, I've got it jacked up. I'm literally just turning the wheel to start with, without any engine running. I've gone through, I'm about half a litre in. I don't quite know the quantity this one takes, probably 750 mil would be a guess. I've probably got about another 200 mil to get into it. So I've done 2 turns, full turns of the wheel, maybe I need to do about 10. So I'm just doing 2 turns lock to lock and then checking the levels is what I'm just doing to start with, and see how much we can get into the vehicle. Okay, so I'm still bleeding mine up in the air at the moment. I've used just over 500 millilitres of brake fluid. Once again, Jeep, thanks for being completely useless. So in here, I found the manual. We've got this is the 3 litre V8 engine, power steering, reservoir with no capacity. All it's got is, we recommend you use ATF4 automatic transmission fluid or equivalent. And that is it, with no capacities in there. So yeah, this is under the capacity section. So I mean, how the hell these people write these books is beyond me. But anyway, unfortunately it doesn't tell me the capacity. I think it's going to be somewhere around 0.8 of a litre, so it's not quite taken everything yet. And I did have an empty power steering pump, so I'm really hoping I've got enough fluid into that pump. So it does say, in checking it again in the section in this book under the Grand Cherokee, it does say check it with the engine flat, or the car flat. I will, sorry, the steering wheel's now locked, which is quite annoying. I do have the key with me, even though it thinks it's not. Oh, there you go. Right, sorry, ignore the beeping, keeps doing that. Just mute that up. Right, so I'm going to do this again. I probably will then start it up in the air actually, so I can just have very little resistance on it, on the pump itself, while I try and get a bit more fluid into it, because this is obviously not quite working. And it is frustrating not knowing quite how much it should take, but no surprise with Jeep not telling you such information. Okay, so I've done another 4 to 5 there turns. I don't know, let's go and have a look in my reservoir and see if it's made a difference. I'm still at max, so it's made no difference at all. So I think it's got as much as it can get into under no engine load on it. So now I will go to start it up and do some light turns. Mine is still set up on the jacks actually, so brilliant, just what I need. Flat battery. Great, I've got a flat battery. It's been sat here too long. I'm going to have to charge it up, and then from there I'll start again, try again. Okay, so I've started the car up, you can hear. Sorry, the battery went flat on me. Anyway, battery started, car's up and running. As soon as I started it, it probably set a good 150 mil. So I would say I've now put in about 750 millilitres. Okay, I haven't yet turned the steering wheel, so I'm just leaving it for a couple of minutes just to see if it gets any more bleeding come through. You can see that's on the max now, and then I'm just going to give it maybe 5 minutes anyway, because the engine is running over because the battery was flat. So I'm going to give it 5-10 minutes running. I'll come back and see if there's any more air bubbles come through, and then after that I'm going to turn the wheel and see if I get any more bubbles out of it. But I think I'm probably, yeah, I reckon I've done 700 millilitres, so I reckon there's about another 100 millilitres to go, and then I'll be full. So I expect that to drop down to the minimum again shortly. Okay, so I'm still running the engine. I'm still high up in the air at the minute, so I've got the jacks under the wheels. The wheels are actually touching the floor. I've done about 15 turns on the wheel. It does keep going down. I can see it's going down again now. So I can see I'm still using some up here. I've now used 900 mil of this ATF one. So I've done 900 mil. So I must be pretty well there, I reckon. And no signs of, touch wood, any leaking here at the minute. Okay, so you can see that's dropped again already. See it's come down a little bit. So that's just airing on its own now. It's actually back down to the minimum again. That's going to need another 50 mil. So that back up. Okay, now this was obviously bone dry, this. So I've probably got, you can't see in this bottle, but I'm guessing I've got 100 ml left of this litre. Okay. So anyway, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to drop it back down, probably now it's had that much. I'll do a few more turns up in the air. So basically, just to reiterate, I've got mine on jacks in a minute, but the wheels are actually touching the floor. Just ease it while I was just getting the air through the system. What I'm going to do now is drop it onto the floor, do a few more turns. That seems to have stabilised, which is good news. So anyway, that's how I'm sort of bleeding mine out, and yeah. Hopefully all good, we're nearly there. Okay, so we've just done a few more turns. I think we're pretty well there. Okay, so it's feeling okay. So I'm now going to go drop it down, and then we'll see, do a final check on it, make sure no leaks, and hopefully all will be good. Solid. So yeah, I was leaving it running because the battery went flat. So yeah guys, I hope that helps. That's how you change your power steering pump on your 2003 Jeep Grand Cherokee.